Hey there, Internet! Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear. There's no doubt that your lower end Mora knives around that $10 to $30 range, like these companions and the robust, bang for your buck, the best fixed blade you're going to get, because they put so much value into the knives themselves, but not a ton of value into the sheath. You get this cheap plastic sheath that's basically, might as well be a throwaway. And if you're going to use these any amount, you might as well get something custom put together. Or you can upgrade like I just finally have and get the Garberg, one of the most popular bushcraft knives in the price range of about $100 that you're going to find. While you'll hear tons of great things about these guys, and again, for the price of it, you're just not going to be able to beat them. This thing for about, I paid about 130, maybe about 150 bucks for this one, because this is the one that came with the survival kit, which has just got the flint, little bit of paracord, and I'll open it up here and show you in a minute. It's for the either the carbon version or the stainless steel Garberg with either the Kydex sheath or the leather sheath. You're going to pay about 130 Canadian, closer to around 100 bucks, give or take, American. And an extra 15-20 bucks if you're going to pay for the survival kit. Which, let's just see here, fire starter, diamond sharpener, and a bit of a thicker blade. DLC coated, which if you're getting the carbon version, it's coated to make it last a lot longer. As you can see here, the non-coated carbon blades will definitely rust and stain if you don't have them coated or protected in some kind of lubricant or oil, or some kind of nice diamond-like coating like the DLC coating on this here carbon blade. So, made in Sweden, definitely made to be an outdoor bushcraft knife. Most bushcraft knives are going to come with the Scandinavian grind. You get way deeper of a bite when you're whittling wood, doing anything, any kind of bushcraft stuff. So, let's open this Mora with another Mora. God, no, I mean, it'll get through there, but this is robust. The tip's definitely a little bit worn down from use on the fire line. Probably as thick of a blade stock as the robust or as the Garberg. But yeah, let's just haul out the Paramilitary 2. Oh, terrible. Failed Spidey flick. Notice that little chip in the blade there. This thing's getting a little bit of use. Still got the original edge on it. Let's wear down that edge so I can eventually sharpen it, so I can start getting ready to do my comparison between this and the Mannix 2. Jeez. That is some thick packaging, Mora. Morakniv. No, that's a little bit Russian. Morakniv? I don't know. Haven't practiced my Scandinavian accents too much. Remind me of another video. Okay, here we are. Open. And alright. Oh, that feels good. Okay, I'm just going to quickly do the specs because I kind of forgot, and I know a lot of you folks are going to want to see that right away. So, real quick, there's that Mora carbon steel blade. The sheath, put aside for a second. For the knife, you're looking at a total length of 9 inches, 4.25 inch blade length with a total 4 inches of actual cutting surface. Full tang fixed blade, so that steel tang goes all the way through beyond the handle. You've got a polymer handle, so very strong, durable plastic. If you want to make something that's plastic and durable and pretty much bulletproof, polymer is pretty much your top choice. I know there's different types of polymers and all that. Not 100% all read up on that, but when I do my full review of this, I'll go through all the full specs and details and do a little bit of research ahead of time. But this blade is a clip point style with a pretty thick blade stock. About 1/8 of an inch or about 3 millimeters thick. It stays pretty consistently thick up until it gets to the point, which is fairly sharp, fairly pointy, but still pretty stout and not looking like it's going to break too easily. I'm not sure if they call it anything more specific than just a high carbon Swedish steel, but it is a high carbon Swedish steel that's somewhat similar to 1095 like you're going to find in most SEs, Tops, K-bars, lots of other bushcraft high carbon steel knives. This DLC coating is pretty thin, and you can see the edge is obviously not protected, but the bevel, the Scandinavian grind bevel here looks to have the coating on it. I see a little bit of scratch where I've just kind of messed around with this thing a little bit, and the back of it is, yeah, not. Well, no, it does look to be coated, although it's got to be thin enough of a coating, or I'm sure they figured out how to do it in a way that you're still going to be able to, yeah, you can still definitely throw sparks with this thing. So I'll have to look into what they did with this coating, but it's pretty damn sweet because it should keep it from rusting, but you're still able to get full utility out of your knife. So this is that DLC coated high carbon version, but you can also get this in a Sandvik stainless steel 14C28N, and that's going to hold up just as well. You probably get maybe even a little bit better edge retention, but this is going to be a lot easier to sharpen in the field, and you can get more of the fire striking capabilities, and high carbon steels are generally considered to be better bush knives. So again, this one came with the survival kit on the sheath, so it's that coarse diamond sharpener, the ferro rod that attaches. That seems to be really in there quite solid. You give it a little bit of a twist, and it pops out a little bit more smooth than my first attempts. So that's decent. And that really, other than that, the difference between this and the other, the Kydex sheath, is the other one has a loop with the button that goes over it if you want to hook it upside down to your Molly gear, and it is a Molly compatible sheath, and that one has a little sleeve that you can pop out, and if you want to just throw this on with a belt loop. If I do get another one of these, I can see it being the stainless steel version with the Molly sheath that I would maybe keep on a backpack. I really do think this would be a great like bug out knife or like some kind of an emergency bag knife just to have in there to be able to do absolutely anything you need to do with a knife. And the Molly sheath attachment for the backpack with the stainless steel, if it stayed in there for a couple years, don't have to worry about it rusting. I could see myself getting another Garberg and having the stainless and the carbon for those two different purposes. But great sleek little sheath. It's not going to take up too much room on my person, on my hip, and I don't believe it's going to be too much of a hassle getting in and out of vehicles. So looking forward to trying this out. This knife weighing about 6 ounces, 5.98 as per the specs online. The sheath itself weighing 2.7 ounces, all together knife and sheath 8.68 ounces. So not the heaviest thing in the world, but definitely heavier than almost any folding knife you're going to be carrying. Compare that to the Ka-Bar 1211 and you're looking at more like 14, 15 ounces, almost a pound. So you're not getting nearly as much knife in the Garberg as you are the 1211, but you're probably going to get 80% of the capability and damn near half the weight. There's the Companion, a little bit of a deep good size comparison, as this is the most common Mora knife you're probably going to find. That is the basic. And then we've got the Mora Robust, which is a little bit stubbier, but about the same size as the Companion. Little bit shorter, a little bit stubbier. And let's just look real quick at the SRK, a little bit bigger, a little bit beefier. And how about the Azula number 2 and the Bradford Guardian 3, all little bit different, nothing really quite that compares exactly to the profile and the length and size of the Garberg. Oh, and if you want to see it against a few folders, there's the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, shorter, definitely not as beefy, definitely not as rugged of a blade. Then there's the Mannix 2, which is getting a little bit more in the hard use category, but again, not quite as large or long as the more Garberg. There's 940-2 Osborne from Benchmade and the Kershaw Blur in M4. Both again smaller. The length of that 940 getting a little bit closer to the Garberg, but still just that's not a huge fixed blade, but definitely not a small knife. If you want to see some folders that are more comparable to this big old fixed blade, then we'll haul out the 9.25 inch Recon one, which I've got a little cut in my thumb on my left hand, so I really don't want to open it up. Trying to get that thumb stud open, so my right hand makes me look gimped. I should work on my right hand deployment. Shame on me. There's your 9.25 inch Cold Steel Recon 1, and which I can use with that injured thumb, 80-15. So yeah, we're getting into the size of some beefier Cold Steel folding knives that are a little more comparable to that Garberg. So no small knife. Definitely get a lot of work done with this bad boy. This is okay, but over time you'll see that the plastic will wear down as you kind of catch this on things. And the Robust on my first fire export of the season, it kind of fell off in the helicopter on the seat, and luckily it was in the sheath. But you don't want this stuff falling off your hip, especially in situations where they could fall off and do a lot of damage to people or equipment or whatever. So yeah, not good. Definitely not what you're paying for when you pick up one of these $20 or $30 knives. Now this Kydex sheath, on the other hand, is made of much better quality material, and it's got this little leather strap here to hook on for a belt loop. This hard plastic, when you get that caught when you're wearing that, it doesn't feel good. You can feel you're hung up on something, and you know if you keep going, eventually you're going to snap that, or the knife's going to come flying out. Ferro rod on one side, and that's in there pretty tight, so it feels pretty secure. You wouldn't really be hauling this out until you need it, so there's not really much need of me wearing that down. But of course, I won't do it on here because I will light this surface on fire. This is just fabric. If you were to need to get some spark, you would, across the back of this sharpened spine. This is a carbon blade, so you're going to be able to get some pretty good sparks. This is not a knife that I've spent a ton of time looking at, thinking, man, I need to get myself a Mora Garberg. For one, I don't like the lack of hand protection. That's my biggest critique of this knife. I'd like to have a little bit of a finger guard. I pretty much always do, in case you want to stab this, even into just stabbing it into a tree or something. You can get your thumb behind there and get enough force and feel pretty safe that you're not going to slide up and like slice your fingers open. But I really like having a hand guard there. And in the situation that you ever had to use this in, kind of tactical defensive situation, I'm talking about bear attacks, coyote attacks, whatever the hell is attacking you in the woods. Not self-defense stuff, because in Canada we're not carrying knives for self-defense or anything like that. Just in case there's any YouTube police out there listening, that's not what I'm talking about. This is a tool and a bushcraft knife, not a weapon. But if it had to become a bushcraft tool for self-defense, I would want there to be something protecting my fingers from sliding up and getting hit by that blade. So sharp, Scandi grind. I'm assuming, of course, like any new knife you get, it's going to be hair popping sharp out of the box. This isn't meant to be a super thin slicer like the Paramilitary 2, and now even though I've had this for a few months and I've used it a decent amount, I've cut open definitely a few clamshell packages, lots of paper, lots of letters, lots of Amazon boxes, and definitely a few tougher materials. You did get that little chip towards the tip, but you're still going to see this just, yeah, the hair is just going to fly right off of there. So this is a slicer. You're going to get more cutting and slicing performance out of this. But even with that thick blade stock, that Scandi grind allows it to get pretty dang thin behind the edge. So while it doesn't slice hair like the Paramilitary 2, it's still pretty damn good. I've been using these a lot lately. This is a brand spanking new stainless steel one I've been keeping in my card. It's got the serrations in it. It's just in case I ever needed like some kind of a rope cutter, or really a cheap budget, like one and everything, one and done kind of knife. You could cut rope, you could cut thick roots, you could cut a damn tree down with this thing if you had to. Wouldn't advise it. And, you know, these serrations will wear down, but this stainless Swedish steel is actually pretty damn good for a $20 knife. I think you can get these for like probably 10-15 bucks American. About $20-25 for the companion carbon or stainless steel in Canadian dollars. Now this one I beat the crap out of on this last export. The Robust I used the previous trip and it actually held up well. I've sharpened this thing recently. It's got a decent edge back. Oh yeah, real good edge back on it. Pat on the back there, whoops. So carbon Robust, you're getting a thicker blade stock, stockier blade, stubbier blade, but it holds up. And that extra finger protection really made me feel safe. I did a lot of prying and digging and cutting roots with this thing. And I did a lot of the same stuff with this trip, except it didn't quite hold up the same. A little bit thinner, not really cheaper. They're about the same price, but much thinner blade stock, much more fragile tip. And I may have thrown this at a bunch of stuff and it might have hit a rock or two. The tip definitely got a direct contact with a rock, so I've kind of started to put tip back on there with the Lansky Blade Medic, but that needs an actual bit of work on the stone. Nice thing about all these Scandi grinds is Scandi grind is one single bevel from the main thick blade stock. It goes down, cuts here all the way down to the edge, unlike say like the Paramilitary 2, which has got that, well, same idea, just one bevel, but it's much smaller, and at the base of the blade, it's a lot easier to, when you're sharpening, accidentally roll that edge by missing that small bevel. With these, the bevel's so large, all you have to do when you're on a stone, is tilt it up until you get that flat bevel along that stone, and then you just do your sharpening. And as long as you keep that relatively flat, you're going to be able to keep that Scandi grind beautiful. So the worst thing you can do to these is just sharpen the edge over and over again, and eventually you're going to get more of like a convex grind. It's okay, but these are definitely made to be Scandi so that they bite into the wood. So Paramilitary 2, full flat grind, it will bite into this wood pretty decent. This is still also quite freaking sharp. So it's going to get a few chips out of there, but it goes in a little bit and then it just starts to slide across. It's not really biting in, which if you're just doing a little bit of surface skinning or like scraping off the bark of a tree, not a big deal. I'm going to take this Scandi grind over here, and we'll use this Robust since I know it's sharp, and try and dig in with this. Yeah, getting a deep bite. So if you're feather sticking or trying to really take off large chunks of wood, doing any kind of whittling or wood bushcraft, any kind of Scandi grind will definitely do you better than a full flat or even a lot of hollow grind. Zula, full flat grind. Yeah, I'm sorry, Zula. This is a hard piece of red oak. It just, you can do stuff with this, and you can definitely feather stick, you could definitely cut through stuff. You could baton through just about anything with this 1095, but it's not a slicer. And it's definitely not a super fine bushcraft knife, or anything that you want to have to whittle any large chunk of wood into a smaller piece of wood. Not going to be your first pick. Now let's check this thing out, and oh, that's a deep old bite. Yeah, so that's going right in there. And this is why I'm pretty much always going to make sure I've got a Scandi grind knife on me when I'm in the woods, because the more I use them, the less I want to do any kind of woods work with this kind of stuff. This kind of stuff, which is still awesome, but unfortunately it just doesn't have the same biting ability as the Scandinavian grind. Full tang, this thing to be just about indestructible. You could hypothetically break that tip off, wouldn't be that hard to sharpen one on. That looked a little bit more like the robust, but at this moment that tip is fine enough to do quite a bit of fine woodwork if one had to do something like that. Got a little bit of paracord that comes with it here. I guess I can attach that pretty much anywhere, is tied around the sheath. You never know when you can use a little bit of paracord, or you could just tie it on and make a little lanyard. But really, you got enough grip, and that's got a little bit of a pommel there that keeps your pinky from sliding off. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of lanyards unless I really feel like I need that extra bit of pinky room. Bradford Guardian 3, absolutely that little bit of a paracord pommel makes a big difference. It gives me a little more security in there. I don't feel like I need that or anything on the back of that unless I were, maybe if I was doing a lot of crazy swinging or something, but that's maybe for a larger fixed blade. Probably leave the lanyard out of that for a while. Yeah, super nice little clip point blade, subtle, not overswept like a big Bowie knife, so I do like the precision of a nice tip, and overswept Bowie knife clip points aren't really my deal, so that's perfect for me. Almost more of like a spear point or like a drop point in a lot of ways, so big fan of the blade profile of this. Super thick, but again, it gets pretty thin at 0.12 inches behind the edge. Thank you, Scandi Grind. Oh, and one of the coolest things about this knife is it is ambidextrous. It even says right on the packaging that, you know, it's reversible sheath, basically ambidextrous in every way, so you can put this in lefty or righty, which Mora, your freaking cheap plastic sheaths, they're only one way. Having to use these in reverse grip all the time is a pain in the ass, but this is definitely going to be a nice upgrade, being able to draw that the way I want to. There is also MOLLE attachments and stuff that you can get. Like there's a MOLLE kit for this knife that you can use to attach to MOLLE vests and bags and all that other stuff. But this will probably be mostly a dangle carry. Perhaps I'll try and rig something up to get this horizontal, but it might be a little bit big for appendix. But we'll see. Maybe I'll rig this up on a bag or something, but definitely be a dangle carry from the hip like your typical fixed blade. So table is clear, nothing left but this awesome new fixed blade, which I guarantee you will be getting tons of time on my hip. I am excited to put this thing to the test and see how much better it is than those typical Mora knives. I'm thinking the permanent place for this knife is going to be in my emergency bag, because can you tell me if there's a better fixed blade that you could carry for like say an end of the world bug out scenario? A little bit crazy, and I know I'm going to pull some weird people into the comments, but I'm all game for it. Nerd out with me, my friends, and tell me what knives you think will top this one. I've got a couple other fixed blades in the mail that are probably going to be comparable, and a few people might want to take over this, so keep an eye out for those unboxings and the upcoming comparisons and all the different weird videos I'll be making from a lot of these fixed blades as I try them out and compare them, and we'll see which one I end up using in the long haul. Again, only complaint, I wish there was a finger guard there, but I'll get over it. Morakniv of Sweden, you are a phenomenal company, and you make bang for your buck the best fixed blade knives that you're going to find on this planet. So thank you for that, and I can't wait to try out this flagship Bushcraft model of yours. Down the road in a few months sometime, I will do a review on this thing once I feel like I've accumulated enough use to be able to do it some justice and really tell you what I think of it and how it handles, how it sharpens, how the blade steel, how it holds up, how the ergonomics are, all that jazz. For now, if you haven't already, appreciate you giving this video a like, because it helps get the video out to more knife enthusiasts. Check the description down below for Amazon affiliate links and link to the Patreon if you want to support the channel through those means. It is very much appreciated. And for now, this is the Hard On Gear channel, signing off.